Well, happy Friday, my friends. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to go to the book of Nehemiah. Now, Nehemiah brought the third group of exiles back from Babylon. If you remember, there were three groups that went into Babylon, and there were three groups that came back into Jerusalem, or back into Israel, or the land of Canaan. And Nehemiah brought the last group back. If you're looking at the history of Israel in the Old Testament, Nehemiah is the last book that covers their history. Malachi is the last prophet that prophesied on the tail end of Nehemiah's book, if you're reading it in a chronological order. But Nehemiah went back to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And in chapter number 3, there's several points I want to bring out here. In chapter number 3, there were many people that joined in to build the wall, and each man did his part. Some had a greater part, some had a lesser part. But in to give you an example, verse number 13, Hanan and inhabitants of Zanoah repaired the valley gate. They rebuilt it and set its doors, its bolts, and its bars, and repaired 1,000 cubits of wall as far as the dung gate. Now, 1,000 cubits is around 1,500 feet. But you go down to verse 23, and after them, Benjamin and Hashab repaired opposite their house. And after them, Azariah, the son of Maaseiah, son of Ananiah, repaired beside his own house. So some did more work, some did less work. But the interesting part here is that I want to bring out is that in all working together, they accomplished the job. In fact, when you read the end of the story, in 52 days, the walls were built. But everybody did their part, some bigger, some smaller. And it's important that we as believers, we all do what God has called us to do. It might be a bigger role, it might be a smaller role, but everyone has a part in building the kingdom and repairing the work that needs to be done. Now, when you go on to chapter number 4, you see there was opposition. There's always going to be opposition towards God's work. And we've got to be prepared for that. And Nehemiah had those who were doing the work. In fact, some worked with one hand with a weapon in the other. They were always ready for those who came against them. And you and I must be prepared to resist the enemy when he comes to hinder us from the work God's called us to do. So I want to encourage you, my friends, everyone has a role. Everyone has a job. Let us work together. The enemy has tried to bring divisions, racial divisions, denominational divisions, political divisions. The enemy is trying to bring divisions, but we need to put aside all these divisions and work together. For united, we stand, but divided, we fall. God bless you as you work for the kingdom and rebuilding the walls of ministry around you. God bless. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.